Dynamite download.
AEW 2020, John Silver.
Special event, as you can see, SPD.
For a splashing good time. January recruitment month.
I come along, I come along in the ring.
I would not want to. I would not. We got great this year at SPD. Boy, weird.
Hey everybody, welcome to Dynamite Download Friday Night Fights and Fights. I am booking by Bonds, and I'm joined by the man, the myth, the legend, Crayfish. What's going on, bro? How you doing tonight?
Oh man, I was vibing to our theme song. I feel like it's been a long time since I got down with the little TH2 dance party. Like that song got me going a little bit, man. I like the new entrance. I like that you're officially part of it. I'm getting those birthday vibes today, bro. I'm feeling really good tonight, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. We have a couple big wrestling birthdays, so you're calling it, man. I'll let you go first.
It's been what, week 32 now at Dynamite Download, and I think it's official. Like Dynamite Download, we are the biggest Britt Baker advocates in the AEW community. We have been since day one.
Well deserved.
I really wish that I could give a birthday shout out to Britt Baker and to the birthday boy, John Cena. I wish I had a Britt Baker action figure where I could go do 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 do. John Cena. Unfortunately, Britt doesn't have an action figure. It's an absolute travesty. Can somebody please make that happen for my birthday? It's coming up in just a couple of weeks. I want a Britt Baker action figure with my John Cena, so then every year on April 23rd, I can bust them out, and we can just have a birthday party, baby. Birthday party here at Dynamite Download. John Cena and Britt Baker, both inspirational stories. Tony Schiavone made an amazing post today about I can't get over just posing. Tony Schiavone made a great post about Britt today, and we've said it before too. I mean, what an inspirational story she has. John Cena, I love his message. I got his, I don't know about you, but I have his book, Be a Work in Progress. For any of you that are out there who might kind of realize, life is always going to be that roller coaster ride, You can feel great and things can be going good, and then all of a sudden it feels like the carpet gets pulled from underneath you. You have to have some things in your life that you can go to that are quick, easy go-tos that'll remind you about your perspective, about gratitude, about what it means to live a life where you're inspired. And John Cena's new book really does that. So I don't know, man. I'm feeling good tonight. It's the weekend. In the book, John Cena talks about wake up every morning being grateful and go to bed every night feeling like you earned that day. So it's very true. I earned my weekend this week. I got a beer here, brother. What kind of beer are you drinking tonight?
I'm drinking strong coffee beer.
That's the best kind, man.
Outer Banks flavor.
Yeah?
Yeah, I probably got this on vacation with Crayfish.
Oh, man. Outer Banks is truly a beautiful place, man. Nothing better. Being by the ocean, being by the water, it just calms your heart, man, calms the soul. Let's get into the nitty-gritty, man. We got those birthday introductions out of the way. For me, going into last week's Dynamite, I was laser-focused. I thought the women's division, that title match was the one that I was most geeked about. But from an in-ring work perspective, I felt like, and I always like to do this when we do the previews, I like to look for the matches that are like the dark horse matches that could be the best in-ring performances of Dynamite. Just I'd like to get into that psyche of it.
Yeah.
Like when I looked at Dax versus, Jungle Boy, Dax versus Jericho, those are types of matches where I kind of recognize, all right, there's a work rate thing. These guys, Trent and Penta, my friend, two guys who can absolutely go. The best friends feel so different, so much more legitimate when Trent's around. He has that presence to him. He truly is one of the best workers in the entire company. And I truly say that as a guy who, honestly, the best friends are not my favorite trio in
Right.
AEW. My favorite trio in AEW is the Death Triangle. So I'm rooting for Penta, especially with his journey from Lucha Underground and watching that grow. He looked badass this last week on Dynamite with the Batman mask. This week he looked shredded. I really like the dynamic with Alex as his manager. I
think Alex is doing awesome.
I think he's doing a fantastic job. Penta says is very meme-worthy. It adds a lot of character and interest to Penta's character. And when Penta is pile driving people left and right, you are going to be fascinated by what he does in ring. Bonds, my pick for in-ring match of the night on Dynamite was Trent versus Penta. Although, again, my performer of the night came from a different match. I felt like the work rate, the performances of these two in the ring, what they put themselves through, I was incredibly impressed. The one thing I'll say was that with Trent's big return, I felt like he was going to be the shoe-in for the win. The Death Triangle doesn't feel like they have the momentum going up. Pac and Phoenix just lost the tag titles. I felt like Trent was going to really take this one because the best friends feel hot.
Yeah.
Were you as surprised as I was with the winner of that match? And were you as impressed as I was about the work rate in that match? Tell us a little bit about what you saw and what you wrote about in your column this week about that matchup.
Yeah, so I think you hit the nail on the head, Mike. This was a two workhorses going at it, which I think always makes for just a great match. These guys can do so many different things. Penta, in my opinion, is so talented and underrated. People think of Ray Phoenix as this like top guy, his brother, but I think Penta's right there with him. And I love the dynamic of the Death Triangle just in general, where Pac's like the middle of the road guy, Ray Phoenix is the face, and Penta's the heel. And
yes, I've been preaching that.
Right, I think that it's perfectly placed, and just before I go deep into it, think about that. Like, how many teams have three workhorses? Because they do. I mean, they really do. But going back to this match just in particular, I thought Trent looked great. He looked like he wasn't nervous about his injury. I liked that Penta was going after his injury early. I think that was a very good story to tell. Like, hey, he's healthy, he's ready to go. This is something that Trent's healthy and he's gonna be here for the long term now. It's not gonna be like he's on borrowed time or anything like that where he's just gonna get hurt again. No, he's good to go. He's ready. And I think that the fact that they put each other through this kind of just brutal match, it sets AEW apart in a lot of ways because a lot of times in other companies you'll see kind of stuff escalate through feuds. Mm-hmm. Where like a match will maybe start off a little slower in a feud and then everything kind of blows up more the more it goes on. But I think that these guys, like, they started off hot and it's going to maybe be hotter because rumor has it that, there's not going to be a rematch for the tag titles with Death Triangle. It's going to be maybe Mox and Eddie Kingston facing off against the Young Bucks. So I think that this might be a prelude to something maybe going on between Best Friends and Death Triangle. And I think having Penta start off this feud by doing some heelish stuff and having Alex get involved and, kind of cost Trent the match that way by bringing up his mom, bringing up Mama Sue. You can't do that.
Sue, and you're going to get slapped. It's just going to happen.
Yeah, it's just going to happen. I think that they're kind of setting that up as, okay, maybe Penta's not the good guy here, but the Death Triangle is going to defend him because he's their brother. So it's going to lead into a feud like that where maybe these guys they don't hate each other, but it's going to be this one. It's going to be kind of like the Cody Rhodes thing we saw a couple weeks ago, where Penta just kind of likes to get under people's skin, and so does Alex. They both enjoy it, and they're going to kind of push them like that because right now, I don't really see either team having anything else going on, and they could have some really good matches together.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we've already seen Orange Cassidy's really his best match early on in his career in AEW, before you were even part of Team Dynamite Download Bonds, was when he went up against Pac. And it was one of the first times in which OC felt legitimized. He got that respect on his name in the AEW landscape. And yes, he had other feuds later on that have helped build that, right? But that was a turning point, I felt. And so to revisit that, and then you introduce the possibilities of the trios matches. I mean, you could see blends of any sort of pairing. If you saw Orange Cassidy and Trent go against Pac and Phoenix, would you complain? If you saw Orange Cassidy and Chuck Taylor go against the Lucha Brothers, would you complain? You start to recognize, no matter what way you put these two teams together, singles matches, tag matches, trios matches, it builds to quality content. And that's what I love about pairing them up. So it's just such a natural fit. And then you look at the styles of the in-ring competitors.
So many different kinds of matches here.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I look at Trent and Pac as those workhorses of the groups, right? Like, they can do it all. And then you see naturally Orange Cassidy and Phoenix. If you put those two in the ring together with their abilities, I think that would be so entertaining. And then there's a natural fit of Penta and Chuck as sort of the powerhouses of the groups. If you mix any of those pieces together, as SPD always likes to talk about when we talk about the Pinnacle and the Inner Circle feud, which is a top-notch feud in pro wrestling right now. When you do it in a smaller scale with these two teams, it still works. And that's what I love about what AEW is doing here. I think this is a natural build towards Double or Nothing that makes a lot of sense and is going to really be telling for where these two teams go forward. I mean, Bonds, to me, I feel, even as a big Death Triangle fan, I feel like it's only inevitable that the Best Friends are going to get the one-up on this, and that this is going to be a push for the Best Friends. I feel like the Best Friends are really a team that, now that Statlander's back, they have the new theme song, Trent comes back from injury, that triumphant win over Miro, who is emerging as a title contender in AEW. The Best Friends, their momentum feels like it's just a rocket ship, bro. Me stepping back as an observer, I'm not even the big. I mean, I wish that rocket was on the Death Triangle, but I see the writing on the wall. Everything is pointing towards dollar signs when you talk about the Best Friends. It just makes too much sense for AEW not to push them. I mean,
yeah, I completely agree. I think that there's a surplus of heel stables right now, especially with the Young Bucks going heel and joining up with Kenny. And I think that having the Best Friends, who are clearly mega baby faces, very popular, they need that rocket strap to them. They need to be pushed, and it's necessary to continue to build that. And I think that Death Triangle is a perfect group, for them to go against, just because of the variation of the talent in the ring. You could really show off everybody's ability in the ring, and that'll make people that like us who appreciate that kind of stuff, wrestling style and stuff like that, we'll appreciate those matches a lot. And I know a lot of AEW fans will as well. A lot of people are like us with AEW. They love seeing just really technical, smart wrestling, good ring psychology, and these guys will bring that. And again, I think that it's it definitely Double or Nothing.
Preach, man! You are speaking the truth. I mean, I got SPD to
agreed. MJF scarf.
I got SPD to really come around to my. I mean, I know I sound like a whack job when I talk about how I feel like Pac is a Mount Rushmore type of guy. When I got SPD to start paying attention to the way that guy sells, it opens your eyes to recognize, wow, that's a real art, and you start to appreciate it in other talents as well. And I see that on the other side. I think Orange Cassidy doesn't get enough credit for what he does as far as selling. I know that sounds wild to say, but I think it's true. I think that there's a lot of growth that could come out of this. So much so, Bonds, that, I mean, you know me. When I went out on a limb and I said I could fantasy book AEW, and you talk about weeks and weeks ago when we talked about book your champions for the summer, I wanted the Golden Triangle to emerge, baby. I wanted Pac to be the champion. I wanted the Lucha Brothers to be the tag champions. I wanted MJF to be the TNT champion. But out of all of it, I wanted the Death Triangle to emerge from the ashes to become the Golden Triangle. And I wanted those guys to all have gold. I think that they all deserve it. I think that the AEW would be better for it. But I could say that for a lot of talents. And when I look at this feud, I want to ask you point blank, putting you on the spot. I'm excited about how Statlander has joined this group. I like the buzz around Chris Statlander. I like how much better, honestly, she looks much better overall now. Her stamina, her ability her cardio is clearly in better condition. It's obvious. And her confidence that I think she fits really well with this group. Naturally, you said, an established group. Chris Statlander goes there, immediately feels like a big deal. Who do you see out of all these talents in this feud? The best friends, Chris Statlander, Orange Cassidy, Pac, Penta, Phoenix. Who do you see getting gold first? Statlander in the women's division, maybe the best friends in the tag division, the Lucha Brothers, Pac. Who do you see getting gold?
I would say out of everybody, the Lucha Brothers getting tag team titles, I think that they're just so respected as well. And I think part of the problem and why they don't have gold already or haven't recently is because of the injuries. They've had a lot of injuries in that group. And so has the best friends, obviously, with Trent being out. So there's quite a bit of that going on. And I think that's probably part of it. You have to be able to, the best ability is availability in any sport or sport entertainment. You have to be able to be there. And if you're a champion, you can't go stripping belts because somebody's hurt every 6 months.
That's true.
Unfortunately. And that's been part of, Pac's problem his whole career is he's been able to be awesome in the ring, but it hasn't been able to sustain it for long enough to ever be the guy.
Yeah.
And I think that that's been really the only downside of his whole career. And that's kind of where he's leveled off at points. And we obviously saw Penta get hurt recently, and Ray Phoenix last year, right? Or early this year was also injured for a couple weeks. So there's, unfortunately, I think that it's kind of pushed off, maybe a big push for them, but I still think that they make the most sense, even if they're not beating the Young Bucks. If something else comes up and they're not the champs anymore, I think that could happen. Or if a trios belt does get implemented, because again, that's been set up for so long, and they're doing I know this week that wasn't the case, but they've done so many trios matches on Dynamite. It just makes sense. There's so many stables. There's just tons of factions.
We are not alone, Bonds. We know, when you hear the buzz. You mentioned trios championships. The AEW community starts buzzing, baby.
Yep.
Buzzing. I mean, Team Taz can all of a sudden get revitalized. All of a sudden, they can feel important again. You talk about the best friends. You talk about Death Triangle. You can talk about the Elite with Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. What if Kenny, the Collector, wanted to go after the trios titles? Why not?
Yeah.
There's so many opportunities for home runs. The Gun Club could be immediately contenders and something like that. So, and again, I know that AEW is big on giving characters opportunities, giving guys and gals chances.
Yeah.
And so when you have a trios title, you immediately get 6 people on the screen, and it allows those workers to build those stars. And you could potentially, you never know. You see a trios match, and one of those stars just pops a little bit more than everybody else. You realize, wow, we might have something special.
A singles competitor down the line.
I mean, Shawn Michaels, I remember being a kid and watching the Rockers, and Shawn Michaels in the Rockers is a great example of that. When you see, wow, that happens. It naturally happens. It's
Edge and Christian. Christian Edge became 11-time world champion out of a tag team.
right.
There's a lot of that.
Absolutely. I think it's more rare when you see a Lucha Brothers where Penta and Phoenix are very much similar, very much aligned. But dude, I mean, like that's an opportunity to really quickly recognize, wow, we might have another future superstar on our hands, right?
Yeah.
So I think that the Trios Championship makes so much sense with the natural factions and relationships that are in AEW. And I think it also makes sense in really, given the depth of this roster and how little TV time this company has, get some people out there, man. Roll them out. Let's see it. I think that there's a lot of wrestlers that are chomping at the bit. I think there's a lot of fans out there who are hungry to see, like, what if you got to see Shawn Spears and FTR try to go after the trios belts? Give Shawn Spears an opportunity in that kind of light. I think he would work really well with Dax and Cash in ring and with psychology-wise, and I think people might learn to appreciate him more if he was able to be paired up with wrestlers that we all respect.
Yeah.
That wrestle very much like him. I think a lot of people don't give Shawn Spears a lot of respect because they don't want to pay attention to how he can be in the ring. They just look at him as the guy who did this. They
Right.
think that that's who he is, and it's not. So I think that's why the Pinnacle is so exciting too. So I love faction-based wrestling. I've said it from day one of Dynamite Download. I want my wrestling company to be about relationships. I want it to feel like The Office. I want it to feel like my life, where I have friends, I have bosses, I have people who annoy me, I have people who I want to be friends with, who I'm jealous of. It's nice to see these characters interact. I have goals, I have dreams. I want to see the dreams and the aspirations and the conflicts and the relationships that come out of all that. I don't want it to feel sterilized where we've learned to see like, oh, well, this guy's fighting this guy and they're going to fight each other for 8 weeks in a row and they're only going to interact with each other and that's it. No, that's not how life is. I love seeing how AEW mixes these pieces together, man. And
I think we do a great job of doing that as well.
Yeah.
Personally.
I agree.
They're able to intertwine storylines. Like we'll see, different teams involved in 3 or 4 different feuds, and I think that's just even way more interesting than having one person versus one person all the time. I think that's definitely the smart approach to building, especially a new company. Building these backstories for the future as well. We saw with the Best Friends a couple weeks ago where they brought up something that happened like a year and a half ago to start up a feud. And that was really cool because it's like, okay, we have something that happened a while back that now is mattering again. And they brought it up and they showed it on the Titantron. So I think that's just really smart and long-term storytelling. And that's something we all preach here. We love that. It makes it feel like it matters.
I think that's very true. And I want to dive into something I just saw come up in the chat. Your cousin Scoot, Scoot Bonds brought up, could Brian Cage become Christian's new Tomko? And I think that's a really smart idea that came up just in the chat. I think that's one of those hidden gems that might get lost in a chat somewhere on a show like Dynamite Download. But that is a brilliant idea because Tomko really was a lot of fun when you watch that tatted up badass, right? Back in the day, really legitimized Christian at a stage in his run when he was trying to do the solo thing for a while. Yeah. And I think that Brian Cage, he's already shown that respect and admiration for the veterans of AEW, like Sting. I could see maybe what we just saw with Powerhouse Hobbs making and like Team Taz kind of making things more personal.
Yeah.
I think Cage could maybe break away here and maybe he and Christian go against Hobbs and Starks. I think that's a really cool idea that just got proposed by Scoot in the chat. Really like that. And I think that the thing that's fascinating is that I could really see it happening and I could see maybe them going a totally different direction. And I still think they're going to do great things, but.
Oh yeah. Speaking on a different direction too, though, like, after the match, on Wednesday, Christian and Hobbs actually had a positive interaction on Twitter. where I think Hobbs shot out like, hey, respect, that was a good match.
Mhm.
And Christian said the same thing. So they could be setting up something else with that as well. Maybe still involving Team Taz, but Hook's been getting more TV time. So who knows? Maybe we're going to see some Ricky Starks and Hook at some point here, because that's obviously they've been revealing him more and more. He started off in like a big jacket and a hoodie, and you didn't really see his face. And then, now he's kind of front and center on ringside,
right.
which is every week. And
You're right.
I think that's not an accident. Splitting up Team Taz is something we all think is coming. And so having maybe that set up, really cool, really smart. And I like the reveal. Hook hasn't had an official match yet, at least not on television, not televised. And I think that that'll be something that's really big, because they're really hyping this kid up long term. It's Taz's son. You have to give him a big. Taz is one of the most respected veterans in the business. So But speaking of trios wrestling, I know we were talking about that a minute ago. The Factory. I want to start talking about those guys, because they do have some young guys that are
cheers to the Factory,
trios.
bro. I am like eating up the Factory. I feel like I might be alone. If anybody out there is eating up the Factory, can I get a cheers? Because I feel like I'm like defending this group, and I don't understand why. I don't understand why I have to defend Anthony Ogogo. Am I operating on a different planet than some of these people? I just don't understand. Like, what when you see them, and you especially like that crew, like I know you're with me, bro.
Yeah.
QT's got like this crew of killers, bro. Like, why am I feeling like I'm on an island with loving the Factory?
Well, I think part of the stuff with Ogogo is a lot of people were complaining how quick his match was. It was like, oh, he one punch somebody. Like, okay, that's the point. He's a professional boxer. Like that's Mike Tyson does the same thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, he punched out Cash Wheeler.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like Ogogo's first match was a job match, where he was a squash, and it was against somebody nobody's ever heard of before. And Cash Wheeler got knocked out in one punch, who's a tag champion in the biggest company in the world at one point. So you have it's no different. It's no different. Anthony Ogogo is prime of his life athlete who's been a professional boxer who's overcome a lot of stuff. And I think that they're setting him up really well. If
you told me Anthony Ogogo was the TNT champion by the end of this year, I would be like, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. The dude like has swagger. He could be an international draw. Like, the Khan family, they know what they're doing. It's not just about the US, y'all. Like, hello.
Long term, yeah.
Hello, the Jags play over in England. They have a team over there. They have a soccer team over there. Like, they are thinking globally, dude. They're globally minded people. And Anthony Ogogo might not mean a lot to you, but he means a lot to a lot of folks. You think Conor McGregor's a big deal. Think about the same kind of scale for AEW with Anthony Ogogo on an international scale, man. Like, that dude has major appeal for the UK fan base. It's real. And when he leans into that stuff about how this country is garbage and beneath him, and when he has that swagger to him, and like dude, I am totally all in with this guy. I think that he's the real deal.
It's hard to disagree. I mean, he has the look. He can talk. Obviously, I think his promos are really underrated already. He's very interesting on the mic. He's able to.
Speaking about underrated on the mic, there he is.
What's up, SPD?
Hey,
Mr. Underrated on the mic.
Cheers to the weekend.
Hell yeah.
Welcome, thank you, everyone.
Hey, it's John Cena's birthday, and it's Britt Baker's birthday today.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday to you! Happy birthday to you! Happy birthday! Yeah, I'll save you all your ears from bleeding, but
finally,
totally
SPD has joined Friday Night Flights and Fights.
Still the Iron
What up, baby?
We
were just talking, Bonds. Finish your thought, my friend.
So
Yeah,
we were
sorry
talking
for
about Anthony
interrupting.
Ogogo and the factory, and I think that we were talking about Ogogo's presence, and I think that he's just like his mic skills are great. He's already good at talking, which is really like interesting for somebody that was a boxer. He's not a
I know, dude.
long term trained wrestler who's done that on the mic all the time. That's what makes him really interesting because I think long term he's only going to get better.
Yep.
And so the fact that he started off so believable and I don't even know what the right word is. It sounded natural. He was natural. And when somebody's that natural, the sky's the limit. That's like why MJF's so good. He's so natural in his persona. And I think Ogogo just kind of being himself, probably a jacked up version of himself, which most of these people, that's what the best, we talked about that on Sunday. It's the best version of performers usually when they're just being a crazy version of who they are. And that's why Steve Austin was great. And that's why a lot of these people are great. And so I think Anthony Ogogo is going to do the same thing. And I like that in the ring, they're going to do the same thing as well because he's a boxer. He's not going to be Ray Phoenix in the ring. He's going to he's going to punch people out. He's going to knock people out. It's important. People got to understand that. And so, yeah, that's just the thoughts on there.
Well, I think that the Anthony Ogogo, like, I think he's clearly establishing himself as a guy who could talk the talk and walk the walk. I think that like the guy is the real deal, and I love what that whole segment represented last week. I think QT is gaining confidence and like, dude, I talk about it. Tony Soprano, when you have the mafia behind you and you all of a sudden you can maybe push back a little bit more instead of eating crap, and being told to like it. Like, he's no longer a sideshow, dude. QT is taking his piece of the pie, and he's got a couple guys with him, that really want to do the same thing. I think that Nick Camarado with that chair shot that he took across the face, and it's one thing to take a chair shot across the face and not fall down or not stumble. The dude didn't even flinch. I mean, he didn't even flinch. It didn't even look like it hurt him. It looked like it was a toothpick getting snapped, and it was unbelievable. So, SPD, before you got here, man, we were talking a lot about the trios, representation in this company, and really that the Penta and Trent match really sparked that. Mm-hmm. When we talk about groups fighting, though, there's no bigger feud than the Pinnacle and the Inner Circle, and we wanted to hold off on this topic until you got here. I've been chomping at the bit.
Thank you.
I've been chomping at the bit to get talking about this one, guys, because this is the feud of AEW right now. We say that with confidence. We said it about Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa. We're going to say it about the Pinnacle, the Pineapple, and the Inner Circle. These promos, these segments are pure fire, guys, and there's so much that I see coming out of them. SPD, you had a lot to say this week in our little group chat, typing your little thumbs away, just typing, talking about Chris Jericho trying to convince me that the Inner Circle has the upper hand. I don't buy it. Tell me, why do you think that Jericho and the Inner Circle are the leaders of this one? And do you see them continuing that momentum through Blood and Guts?
Should we do a bold prediction for Blood and Guts too after we talk about this segment? I mean, I think since we haven't thought about it, let's talk about bold prediction. Even you guys out there in the chat, like, how do you see Blood and Guts panning out? Like, who is the last survivor and who comes out on top? Like, we'll let that simmer for a bit. But yeah, MJF Scarves, they said it's going to be a 2-hour show. So that whole thing is the Blood and Guts, the 2 rings in a cage. It has to be, I feel like, some kind of Survivor Series style match where people get eliminated, because to go 2 hours is pretty insane. But I don't know, man. I just think the promo wars between, I'm looking at, I guess, the promo wars between Jericho and MJF are one thing. It's really, those guys are so neck and neck with who has the upper hand.
No doubt.
I think both are as seasoned and smooth on the mic as anyone ever. But I still think Jericho or the Inner Circle has the upper hand. If you look at it as a whole, last week, when you had Santana's passion and Jericho's passion, that outweighed MJF and Wardlow if you kind of do that to me. So, dude, you've been always a sucker for heels, bro, and I'm a baby facer, so you've been always.
I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. I love Santana. I love Santana, and I'm the first to admit that dude is a gangster. I still, one of my favorite moments of 2021 is look at you now. I love that. I will always go back.
That was
to
a great moment.
Belly up. You know, I love that over FTR.
Yeah.
And Santana seriously looks like a bad dude, man. And he's been one of my favorite follows on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
There are certain wrestlers that are really fun to follow. Santana's a super inspirational dude, really cool guy.
Yeah.
And so he's easy to root for. So I get it. I want to see him shine more, dude. I get it. But let's be real, man. Like, let's speak truth. MJF is just murdering people on the mic, and he's doing it to Jericho too, man. I'm not trying to be mean because I love Jericho, and his promos are funny. Don't get me wrong. But the intensity, the way that MJF is just spitting fire at these guys, and Wardlow's promo, bro, I'm telling you, I love that he called Jericho out on that moment because it could have just gone over as just like a flub and all that.
Right.
The pinnacle that they honed in on Jericho's mistake. And when you're in war, you're going against Achilles, bro. You got to go after that heel, man. You could go after him all day long at the head, the chest, whatever you want. The heel was his weakness. MJF has always been able to play chess while everybody else was playing checkers. He said it best himself. He cannot be held under Jericho's thumb. He's outsmarted him. He's beat him in the ring. He was one step ahead when the Inner Circle was going to try to take him out. He was one step ahead. This kid is everything he says he is, man. And that's the thing that drives us crazy, man. And like when people are that good, like Mr. Perfect, when somebody like talks like that and he can be that damn good in the ring, it starts to make you think like, man, like he's right. I want to hate him, but he's right. And MJF is that guy, man. He is the drizzling shits, but he's also a guy who I think if you gave me a draft pick, big, like when you talk about everything included, Bonds, you and I are going into a dynasty draft in fantasy football. MJF would be like a top pick, bro.
Number one pick.
I mean, there's no doubt. He'd be
no doubt.
No doubt. He'd be like a Burrow. He'd be right up there, right? I mean, you got to think about that kind of talent. I just think
I'd pick a kicker over him. Just kidding. I know MJF is the top of the top. He is definitely.
I love seeing Wardlow get that moment too, man. Like that.
No,
dude,
of course we love Wardlow, and I thought it was. This isn't a knock on that at all. I don't know. I love both factions 100%. They're A+, absolute A+ so far. Have done no wrong. Have surprised us week in and week out. Have kept things fresh, original, and it's an absolute home run. Probably one of the best feuds in AEW to date since their tuition. Since they started. So I just can't wait for. I'm just so excited for what's to come. This is like, it's kind of strange. You would think Blood and Guts would be the ultimate culmination of like the final chapter almost, but this is like the appendix, like the prequel,
it's the
or whatever.
Appendix.
Yes, the appendix. It's like the cliff notes, hopefully, to this whole thing. Hopefully we'll see that few or a sub other than the ones we
the introduction, so to speak.
Hopefully we see what
prelude
potential you could see in
certain
one-on-one matches.
The
acknowledgments. It's the acknowledgments.
Okay, all right, I like that. That's good.
So I think let's talk booking.
Okay,
we don't know. This is the parlay. So this week coming, we're getting the parlay between the two teams. If the way I see it playing out is more of a Survivor Series type of thing. Or maybe like
I like that.
A Royal Rumble where it's timed and more entrants enter throughout. Or it's really hard to predict. Say like 5-on-5, boom, to start the match. Yes, that would be cool, but I think it'd be more attention grabbing for the average fan. You know, we're not the average fan. We're diehard, you know, AEW fans. The average fan would be like a countdown and more exciting, be like, oh, who's coming out next or something like that, even though it's only 10 guys. You know, how do you predict the style of the match going? Do you think it's all 10 guys at once, or do you think it's staggered?
Personally, I think it's going to be all 10 guys start out, and I think that they're just going to beat the hell out of each other the whole time. I think that's what they're going to do. I think they have to do that. They have to give everybody their time. Let everybody because everybody is treating this personally. Yeah. Every single person in this feud is treating this personally, and I think that there's definitely two different tones going back and forth. I think in the promos, I would say that Pinnacle's taking their promos very seriously, where Jericho, when he takes the reins, he's, you know, ripping on them a lot, making fun of them more. And I think there's just a different tone here. And I think that that's kind of going to be the same in the match itself. I think, or if they're, you know, obviously they're going to book it the right way, but if they're setting anything up through their promos, they're setting up, hey, like Pinnacle is going to go in here and they're going to just want to wreck these guys, because that's how they're treating the promos. They're trying to bury Jericho in a lot of ways. And Jericho really is focusing heavily on just MJF. I think that's a big, I've noticed that in the promos where Jericho is talking about MJF for 5 minutes. You know, like, hey, my stupid friend here,
friend.
Max, my jerk-off friend, Max. And it's I think that there's some stuff going on there. It's on purpose. There's, you know, because again, long-term storytelling, I think they're setting up the potential for that in the ring with these guys just kind of battering each other in a lot of ways. And we have to see that the whole time, in my opinion. That's just me though. What about you, Crayfish? Would you agree?
How do you see the structure of the match going?
You know, I think like it's been stated it's going to be a War Games format, really. Yep. So War Games, those of us who are familiar, I mean, it's going to be 5-on-5, 2 rings, 1 huge cage. They're going to go at it, and it's going to be just an all-out war. It's not presented as an elimination chamber style type of format, right? Where it's like getting released one at a time. That's not how it's been presented. So I expect it to be a War Games type of match. I do think that SPD, your bigger point there is this is going to be a 2-hour match.
That's insane.
This is going to be a 2-hour match. So how do you wrap your head around something like that? I mean, when you talk about some of the greatest challenges in wrestling history, the Iron Man match, typically an hour, right? So you're doing a double Iron Man match with these competitors. That is going to test all of them in a new way. Double rainbow all the way.
Across the sky.
It's going to be really a pretty wild thing to think about. And something I've never seen before, dude. I mean, 2-hour match. You know, for me, the way I would do it, and this is me just talking to you guys as friends on a Friday night.
Yeah.
I would have this match be brutal, and I would have the Pinnacle win, and I would have the Inner Circle not like and it'd be some cheap way, right? Obviously, that would be the way to do it at the end with something like that, and then the Inner Circle ultimately having the final challenge of the Pinnacle that whoever. Oh well, no, it should end. Basically, the end game for me is I think that it should be the group who loses the next match after Blood and Guts has to break up. I think that's the only way. That's the only, and I think maybe that's how the parlay plays out, right? Like double or nothing, right? Like you maybe at double or nothing, that you either like whoever loses breaks up, and I think that's the way that it makes sense to me. And I see the Inner Circle losing at that one because I do think that there's a lot of potential for Santana and Ortiz to break away in the tag division. I think Sammy, everybody's kind of ready for Sammy to break away kind of as a single star, challenging on his own. And when you look at the way these two groups are focused, man, I just maybe I'm biased, but I think that there's a lot of excitement about where the Pinnacle can go. If I could really, man, if I could pick a crew, that's that's a pretty dream crew for me. You know, like I like the heels. I love
Yeah, you
FTR.
do.
FTR is my jam. I love Wardlow, Cleveland Proud. I mean, I think they're all excellent. I feel like I defend Sean Spears a lot on the IWC, and MJF. Even though he's a jerk, he's my jerk off friend. I recognize how good he is, man. I don't know. I'm all about the Pinnacle right now, man.
I can't see any group breaking up anytime soon. I think it would be a big loss overall, considering Inner Circle being what are the other top babyface factions right now that are really main eventing the show.
Yeah,
You can't have them just turn face and then break up. Like that'd be poor booking,
that's
I
true.
think. But I don't know. So do you see the match being just whoever has the first pinfall wins, or is it more of eliminator style too at the end of that? Like, because you can't have 300 false finishes for 2 hours. You know, obviously no one's going to go for a pin. It's more about just the battle versus the win. So if you have all 10 guys in there, it would be cool, like all chaos, and then you know, if people just get so knocked out, then you can have like a 3 or 4 minute segment of like FTR versus Santana Ortiz, a 3 or 4 minute segment, or like whatever, when all guys are kind of recuperating, you know, Hager and Wardlow, and, you know, can have mini matches within the match. So I mean, it's more fun for a baby face to chase. So
Usually, yes.
to have the Pinnacle win would make the most sense, and then
I think that like
face that next time.
That's what I mean. I think that the Inner Circle, like, I can respect that they're the original crew of AEW, but to me, I think like they have something with the Pinnacle, and I think that you don't invest and you don't like go all in on a group like the Pinnacle unless you really are going to push those. I mean, because they got the four horsemen vibes going hardcore.
Yeah.
And I feel like you don't do that without really, really pushing it. I think that, like, you know, in the chat, there was a conversation, there was a comment about the Pinnacle then going after the Elite. Would anybody be upset if MJF challenged for the world title and if FTR challenged the Bucks for the tag titles? Would anybody think that's a bad idea? No. I think that there's a lot of potential with the Pinnacle. I think that all of us see potential in Wardlow and think that he's, you know, again, if the Pinnacle really made their promise that they were going to get all the belts, would anybody here be upset if Wardlow was the TNT champion, MJF was the world champion, FTR was the tag title champion, like tag champions? Would anybody in AEW be upset about that? I don't think so. So I think that this is a fascinating feud, but for me, I think that Pinnacle has bigger fish to fry. I think that they're going to get through a very personal feud with the Inner Circle. I think that they're going to come out on top at Blood and Guts, and I think it's going to be a very violent match. But I think that their sights are set on bigger things. Bonds, where do you maybe check me a little bit, because I love where this feud is.
Yeah.
But I'm already ready for, like, I think that Pinnacle is I'm all in on them maybe going after the gold.
Well, it's hard to check you when I agree. I think that Pinnacle has to win at Blood. Like, they have to win the Blood and Guts match. They have to. You can't build this team of just stars and have them lose their first big match. It just doesn't make sense to me. And obviously, I don't want to see the feud with Inner Circle die, but having a 2-hour match at a pay-per-view is pretty, you know, if you lose that, it's going to be a little while till you're off or you're back on that feud. I would love to see them get some title shots here. I think that's important. You have this team that you've invested so much time into on promo. As we talked a couple weeks back, they were literally a third of the show on Dynamite. And so you have to give them something else to legitimize themselves, because they even said on Wednesday they want the top spots. They don't care about Inner Circle really. They just care about their spot on the card. So the spot on the card they want is titles. They want gold. That's the point. That's why you become a stable. You don't become a stable just hang out with your buddies. You become a stable in wrestling to be the top of the top.
Right.
And I think that's kind of what they're doing, and that's the game plan. And this is the first step to that. You have to have this match to legitimize them as legit. You know, we're the best stable in wrestling if we beat Inner Circle, because you know Jericho is a leader. Jericho is a legend in any spot. He's a top 5 talent any company he's in. So you have them go over on somebody like Jericho and all these other guys that are in this stable that are great. You have a bunch of legitimate stars, and they're ready for that shot. They're ready for that push. That's how you give them, you legitimize them in that way, in my opinion. And I think that's.
And to piggyback off that, Bonds, I mean, you think about MJF, like back-to-back Dynamite Diamond ring winner, right? So we thought the way it was going to go, there's no way he can go back to back, no way. And boom, back to back jacks, he did it. And then if he were to go 2-0 against a legend like Chris Jericho, can you imagine? I'm 2-0 with that. I mean, like the guy is undefeated, flawless. I mean, if he had that feather in his cap, he'd be insufferable. He'd be absolutely insufferable, and I think that's good television. I think MJF being a dirtbag is good TV, man. I really do.
100%.
Yep. Yep.
And then you could have them check the elite as well. Obviously, you know that's something that's there's only so many times Moxley and Kingston can go against 5 guys in a stable together. So they're not always gonna have a truck. You know what I mean? So they're going to need to figure out what's going on there. I don't really know the direction of that right now, but I think that's maybe setting up for a one-off at Double or Nothing as well. So whoever's next up, obviously we're kind of thinking Hangman's going for the world title, but if there's, I would say Pinnacle, if they're looking for top spots, how can you beat the elite for top spots? You can't. So that might be the next step. Who knows? We're obviously speculating here, but that's just based on what they're saying. That makes sense logically.
Make some good TV, bro.
Yes, it would.
Good TV.
So all this got me thinking earlier today, and it's like,
what were you thinking about? SPD? Tell us.
I was thinking about a lot.
Tell us.
When there's very few who can play the heel and babyface character.
Now?
What?
Yeah, you sound fine.
All right, good.
Very few who can really be A+ heels and baby faces, and Jericho is definitely an A+ on both of those ends. Knowing his career in WCW, WWE, and AEW.
Oh, you wanted to chat about this one.
What version of Jericho do you like best, heel or babyface? And I know, Crayfish, you're going to say heel because you are a heel.
Come on.
And why? A heel, who do you like? What do you like Jericho better, heel or babyface, and why?
Go ahead, bud.
This is going to surprise a lot of people, but I actually like face Chris Jericho more than heel Jericho. I think that he's such a showman, and he's so good at being like kind of that puppet master, ring master guy who's like able to work a crowd over so well. And I think that when he's a face, that's more evident than when he's a heel, because I think anybody can get heat. In a lot of ways, it's kind of easy to get heat in some instances, especially in wrestling. You can just make fun of somebody's town. And Jericho is good at doing that. I mean, obviously the list was great. He's awesome as a heel. I'm not taking anything away from him, but he's, a legend as a face and a heel. So you have to pick one or the other here. I'm going face just because he's always been able to manipulate the crowd so well as a face and be that guy, and he's a great sniveling little heel too. So that's why he's the man, because he's so good at both.
That's true.
I would have to just go babyface.
He is awesome, man. I should have had him on my Mount Rushmore. That dude is amazing.
Yeah, that was the hardest one to admit for me.
He's so good. Dude, like, yeah, I mean, I will admit this, Bonds. It's way harder to be a great face. I think it's so much harder to be a great face in pro wrestling. Because people just want to turn on you immediately, right? I just think it's so hard to be a good baby face. And I agree. That's one of the things I said about his promo work. Even though I think the Pinnacle is winning this, I think his promo work, I admitted to SPD, like it very much feels like he's Fozzy, right? He's the showman. Yeah. He's the rock and roll front man, baby.
Yep.
He's the front man of the band, baby. And he's got the mic and he's hyping the crowd up, baby. He's getting everybody, come on, let's go. And I think that's, it's hard to get baby faces that the people don't turn against. I love Jericho in that regard. But when I think Jericho, man, I think of him as a heel, bro. I associate Chris Jericho with a heel. His biggest moments to me are like, the list of the list
1,004 submissions.
A list of 1,004 submissions. At the list of you just made the list. I think that you think about his feud with Steph. Well, I think his feud with Stephanie, he was a babyface. His feud with China, he was a heel. I think that the feud with Stephanie was probably more memorable in that regard. I will admit that. But I just think that Jericho, he hits on another level when he could just cut into people because he's so smart.
Yeah,
Bonds, you like he's able to think on his feet.
Yeah.
I love that about him. Yes, getting heat is a lot easier to do than being a babyface. I admit that, but I love arrogant, just drink it in, man. I love everything about him being like just the bad dude. I love that about him. His ego, when he's got the ego, turning on Shawn Michaels, countless moments across of his career, man. I love it.
This is so hard to decide because they both are so good. Yep. But I honestly think there's a lot of heels out there like you really truly hate and like
he's
really
not that way.
But
Right.
Jericho, I want to say heel because his heel character I love to watch because
he's like a baby face as a heel.
He's a baby. He's a cheering heel. Like he'll get pops being a heel. Like a lot of the heels you hate. Like Rollins as a heel worked so well, but I hated him. I wasn't popping for him as a heel. He's great both ways. Daniel Bryan wasn't kind of fine line too. Like he's great at both heel and babyface, but I didn't enjoy his heel run. Like Jericho as a heel is so more edge of his seat. Like, what is he going to do? What is he going to say? What is his jacket going to look like? What is he going to, just his facial expressions, his hairstyles that he would do in the past. And the list of Jericho and stuff like that stuff was just comedic. The comedic level he does when he's a heel is like really second to none. And, it like you said, the cheap pop. Oh, the Cleveland Browns suck. Oh, blah, blah, blah. A lot of heels.
doesn't do that.
101. Heel 101.
Yeah.
But Jericho is creative level when he's a heel is so
Off the
next
charts.
level.
Off the charts. So it's a clean sweep between SPD and Crayfish, but Bonds, the booking by Bonds breaks it up. He says, no, face is the best. So
It's very close.
yeah, I think that the thing is about Jericho, what makes him great, guys, is that when he's a heel, he is kind of a face. He's just that
True.
kind of heel. He's so funny. It's very rare when you get a promo from Jericho where you hate him, right? He's not that type.
And when he's a face, he's giving MJF swirlies and
Which is
you know what I mean?
awesome. Which is
Right.
awesome.
He's still Chris Jericho. That's why he's interesting as
Yeah.
both, because he's still himself and he's a little less ridiculous when he's a face sometimes. So that might be part of it as well. He goes a little overboard as a heel once in a while. I love that about him, but I think it can get funny, a little too funny.
You're a little too funny, you know that?
Oh yeah. Pee Wee Herman.
Let's chat about him.
Yeah.
Oh
jeez.
man.
So,
And we're back.
did we freeze for a second? Yes. Anyways, so Pee Wee Herman transition. I don't know what you guys talked about first, but I know I wanted to talk about Darby Allin's recent title.
We
run,
held
so-
off on that topic too for you, buddy. Come
So,
on.
I don't, I'm all for. I've always been for a fighting champion and wanting him to be a fighting champion, and he really showed out, what we want to see the side of him with the Jungle Boy, which is, more his speed, more his size, more his kind of match. And I know we always have different stuff to say about him. He is the bizarre one, but I'm still not sold on his title run personally, you know, and that might be the unpopular opinion for most AEW fans, but I like his character and his growth and his, you know, being boundless and, you know, getting out of that stereotypical big wrestler, you know, he's
Rip the Band-Aid off, SPD. Rip it
but
off.
I'm ready for a TNT title change personally. I'm not a fan of his title reign, and yes, I would pick Lance Archer or Miro to dethrone him.
Scarf.
So
We're gonna go
Tell
into that
him,
a little
son.
bit too.
Tell him, Scarf.
So you know, I can't. His last few matches, he's back-to-back main events, hit or miss on both of them. So they were fine. They weren't the match of the night, and I'm kind of over the shenanigans with like 15 guys coming out in the ring during the
Can I ask you
match or after
something?
that. So
Can I ask you
I'm
something though? Honestly, like, have you been? When did you get over Darby? Because I feel like it's been a while now. I feel like you're just not a huge Darby fan.
yeah, I mean,
You're a Lance Archer guy. You
I
want
am
the
I'm
murder.
a Murder Hawk Monster man.
Everybody's got their. It's okay. Like I think here at Dynamite Download, we need to embrace this more. Like you know,
I can
sometimes
appreciate his growth and his title and for what he's been doing and what he's been
it's all
capable
right,
of.
buddy. It's okay. I think that that's healthy.
Darby's not on my Survivor Series team if I'm drafting a team.
Right, and that's okay. I think that like we need to embrace that more, and it's not a slam on the people who aren't in your fave 5, guys. Like it's just like
Or fave 50.
for me, if I'm picking ice cream flavors, I mean I can't narrow it down to 5. Top 5 favorite ice cream flavors of all time. What are they?
Vanilla, 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 and vanilla.
What a lame list that is.
Cookies and cream, butter pecan, vanilla, French vanilla, and
Italian vanilla, probably.
That's the good stuff, man.
Oh,
Italian
yeah.
vanilla.
actually Mexican vanilla one is real good. Vanilla bean.
Oh,
You know,
good,
yeah,
man.
vanilla bean
Wow,
is good.
can't get enough of that bean, son. You can
Right.
never get enough
What
of
are
that
yours?
bean.
Right away. What are yours?
Cookies and cream. I love butter pecan, so you and I are lockstep on those. Bro, I have to have something with peanut butter, dude. I gotta have like a
Peanut butter porter.
See, I can't, bro. I have to. I love pistachio. I love pistachio. That's in my top 5. Let me think about it, dude.
No,
I have a
no,
I can't do that.
It's either
His
those are your
Mount
top,
Rushmore list
that's
was
it.
37 wrestlers long. You got to give him some time.
Literally,
to think.
I
No.
am so self-conscious
You-
afterwards. I was like, how did I do that? Like
You
putting
can't
Pac in
overthink
over
this.
Bret Hart. Like what was I doing?
You cannot overthink this. Last one. You got 10 seconds on the clock. Last one. Or you're never going to eat ice cream again. Oh, 3, 2, 1.
Vanilla bean.
All right, vanilla. See, we have 3 of the same 5.
You gotta have vanilla in there.
Vanilla
You
bean,
got
cookies
to.
and cream, butter pecan. You yelled at me, and now look at that.
Great
cookie
list.
dough, turtles. That's a good one. I think we
Oh,
all-
damn.
Cookies and cream and butter pecan are kind of like
Cookies and cream is the shiznit, man. That is
coffee
the
ice
best.
cream is real good too.
I
All right,
like
Bonds, what are your
pistachio
5
a lot.
favorites? Right off the cusp, fast
Since
5.
since I'm a giant sellout, Neapolitan because it's got 3 flavors.
Big call.
That counts for 3.
I'm a pistachio fan as well. I do like that.
That's that
I
fancy
love
stuff, dude.
Rocky Road is up there with me.
Little marshmallow action.
Oh yeah, a little marshmallow, little nuts in there.
Yeah,
It's
get
delicious.
some nuts in there, dude.
You like those little nuts in there, don't you?
Exactly. No. Cookies and cream is there too, and I do like myself some vanilla bean. So
Gotta
Thank
get
you.
that bean.
Yep.
Clean.
No one said chocolate.
sweet.
No one
Yeah,
said
I'm not.
chocolate.
I like vanilla more than chocolate.
Me
no
too.
one shocking. Team Dynamite download. Clean
It's-
sweep. Vanilla. Vanilla on our list, baby.
You just
Yes.
made the list. So what do
Retime.
you? All right, now let's get back into. I mean, this is what we do at our interviews. The Fast 5.
I hate it.
Back to Darby.
All right, hey SPD, why don't you do a fast five? It's been a long time since we've had a freaking interview here at Dynamite Download. Britt and Lance, come on.
So you want me
Jeez.
to give a fast five to you guys?
Give us a fast five, bro?
All right. For first fast five, we'll go to Bonds.
Bonds.
All right.
By the way, if you guys are fans of Dynamite Download, let's get a freaking interview again.
We will.
Man.
Yeah,
Let's
push it
go.
over, guys. We'd love to talk to Britt and Lance
Come
and
on,
everybody.
man.
Anybody, we'd love to talk to them. We like just getting to know these wrestlers and who they are as people. So
I agree. I feel like our interviews are really like for being so like new to that. I feel like ours are pretty good with like showing off people and like
All right.
I don't know.
All right.
Yeah.
So Bonds, first fast five
Toot,
off the
toot.
top, not even thinking about this. What would be your dream car?
Corvette.
Good question.
New
I don't
or
really care
old?
about cars all that much.
New or old?
Old school.
All right. Would you rather not shower for a year or lose your taste for a year?
Lose my taste. I
If you
couldn't
had to-
smell
all right,
myself
if you-
for a year.
If you had to pack 3 things in a backpack and head to an island for a month, what 3 things would you pack?
A lot of water.
Other than the essentials are taken care of. Like this
Oh,
is
it's
just kind
taken
of like,
care of? Cool.
yeah.
Cool.
So food?
Yeah, my
yeah,
Game
the
Boy.
essentials are taken care of. Like just you won't have internet or anything. Like what would you take? Like,
My Game Boy so I can play something.
well, that'll die and then you're out of luck.
I got batteries, bro. It's fine. I'll take batteries. I'll make a second one.
Okay.
And
Game Boy and battery.
Game Boy.
and probably
All the essentials.
one of my
Flushable wipes?
just one of my favorite random books, I guess.
Okay.
Butt wipes.
Yeah. All right.
All right, that's not 5 yet.
Okay. Who do you what is your favorite book?
It.
It.
Yep.
Is
by
it
Stephen
really?
King.
It is your favorite book?
Yep.
All right. Now, do you prefer red flannels or blue flannels?
Orange flannels.
Okay. All right. Is that 4 or 5 questions?
It's fine.
think
What is
that's
your
fine.
favorite nut?
Last one.
What was
Your
that?
favorite nut?
Ooh, that's a
Wall.
Okay. I got some.
walnuts. Love 'em.
Crayfish is
All
turn.
right.
There we
Crayfish.
go.
All right. This is going to be a good one. All right. So,
I had answers to all those. Those were good
Yeah.
questions.
yeah. Well,
Go
I'm gonna
ahead.
try to. This is just off the cusp, man. I gotta
Do it,
get-
bro.
dive
Off the
deep, man.
cusp, man.
If you had to listen to one album or record for the next year, and that's the only music you could listen to, what would it be? Don't overthink this. We're on the clock.
Okay. The best of Roy Orbison.
All right. If you could sit down and have a steak dinner with one wrestler, who would it be?
Santino Marella.
And the steaks are cooked blue.
Oh no, that's awful. I think it would be fascinating to talk to.
Fast Five, bro. Not
FTR. Can I pick FTR?
No.
Can I pick a tag team?
Sure. I'll say yes.
Okay. All right. FTR. That would be who I
Wow.
want to talk to.
Would you rather be the middle of the human centipede for a week or have to dunk your head in the swirly every toilet at the Browns Stadium
after a game.
after Monday Night Football?
Well, dude, I feel like the second one would be way worse if I had hair like yours. I think that like the center of a human centipede sounds absolutely awful.
I'm so glad I got the first set.
No, thank you. I will take the Browns Stadium all day. Go Browns! Drink up those beers.
Just,
Oh my
just get
gosh.
trashed before you do it.
Yeah,
Right.
Oh my
absolutely.
gosh.
I'll be fine.
You'll get swirled in every toilet at the Browns Stadium after Monday Night Football. Wow.
Sounds
No,
awful.
MJF spray
Yeah.
tan.
Well, hopefully it's after the Steelers game and we kick their ass. How's that?
All right. So what? All right. Another wrestling question. If you could take one finisher from any wrestler, what would you want to take as like a badge of honor besides Mr. Sacco?
Dude, if I could take the Razor's Edge from Razor Ramon, I think
Okay.
that would be freaking sick, man.
All right.
It'd be sweet. Chico.
What is one materialistic thing you think you could live without? You can't live without. You can't live without.
I can't.
Yeah. A materialistic thing.
Like a house? I mean, that sounds
No, like let's say your phone or like the music or a record, something that like you really enjoy.
Yeah, as much as I hate the phone, I do feel like the phone is a pretty amazing tool, man. I think GPS, I use it all the time.
Yeah, you're not the best at directions.
No, I'm not. Twitter, fantasy sports, everything at your fingertips on your phone, man. I think that's probably the pick. Unfortunately, I do see a lot of negatives that come with it, but
Right.
it's one of those things you just can't turn it away, man. It's got everything you need right at your fingertips, man.
All
Unbelievable.
right, I got one more for you. Would you rather have to for a month waddle like a
Why
penguin?
is mine all awful? Why can't I have?
Would you rather?
I want a Raptor. That's my dream car. You're asking me if I want my head dunked in toilets.
Well, all right. So, would you rather have to waddle like a penguin for walking for a month? That's the only way you could walk, or leap like a frog for a month, everywhere you go.
Oh, dude, waddle. I mean, leaping like a frog would be a great workout. But waddle like a penguin all day, son. I can waddle like a penguin now. That would be fun.
Let's see it. Let's see it.
No, I'm good, bro.
You're probably not wearing pants. That's why.
I mean, it's a Zoom call. It's reason. Top up.
All right. So you got a fast five for me?
Bonds, how about we rotate?
All right, let's do it.
You start.
Would you rather shave off your beautiful hair or shave off your beautiful stash?
Stash. This hair is too much of a commitment. I mean, it's such a long commitment. I haven't got a haircut in over a year.
Wow.
So would you rather eliminate your ability to see or your ability to hear?
Wow. Here.
Fair.
Okay, if you could start up your own, if you could start up your own company, what would it be about?
Oh gosh, sour candy. No, I don't know.
Yeah.
No, it'd probably be
candy.
Something to eliminate waste.
That's cool. I like that.
I can't stand not recycling, water wasting. Really makes
you
me
travel
cringe.
a lot and you see all the plastic.
A lot of waste.
Stuff. Yeah.
So it's easy to be like, oh, well, right away I'd be like, okay, yeah, something maybe with like the Red Wings or hockey or like something cool and fun. But honestly, like the waste that goes on, whether it be food, recycling, water, I can't stand watching water be wasted. So
that's a beautiful.
So that's
statement.
my answer.
I like that.
But I'm gonna drink up and then I'll recycle this bottle.
If you could have, like, what would you have on your gravestone?
Oh gosh.
No, actually, Callie asked me a really cool one today. Would you rather have your ashes shot into space and always be in orbit, or have your ashes planted into becoming like a tree? Which would you prefer?
Tree.
If you could have a saying on your tombstone, what would it be?
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, that one's a little more deeper.
Yep, I know. Sometimes you gotta get deep for the fast.
Well, it would have to say like,
what's your favorite song lyric of all time now?
Song lyric?
Yeah.
Oh, I really like the song lyric. Give me a chance to shine and I'll blind the world.
I know you do. That's awesome, man. That's good.
Actually, I really like the one from Blink-182 where, well, never mind. We got to keep it PG. We can't keep Blink-182 lyrics are not PGs. So, but anyways, okay. So I want to hear your take, Bonds, on the
this
Darby
little
saga.
light of mine.
What do you?
Darby.
Yeah. How do you like his run? Do you want it to continue? Where do you see it going? What would you give it, grade wise?
I would give it a C minus grade wise,
Yeah.
unfortunately. I haven't really been into it. I was expecting more from his run. I'm glad that he's finally having matches. That's definitely a plus that he's finally
True.
actually defending his title on television. But
True.
his matches haven't really put him in the best light, even through victories. He's kind of struggled against everybody other than Joey Janela and Jungle Boy, and so it's been a very weird kind of missed opportunity to build him up. In my opinion, I'd like to see it end and maybe him kind of knock down a peg before he gets kind of brought back up again. I think that might be the only way to really fix, because I feel like he's been damaged a little bit.
You do?
John Cena's really invested in this. I can see Crayfish's as well.
I am listening. I'm asking.
I'm
like,
not
you
messing
really,
with
you do see that, Bonds? Because I don't know, man. I like you see like Darby's been like hurt by this run because I don't see that.
I do. I think that he, because maybe it's just my opinion, but I don't think he's really endeared himself in a lot of his matches. It's been him getting beaten up for 95% of the match and him just winning at the end by doing a coffin drop. And
Can't argue with
Or
that.
a quick roll up. Quick roll
right,
up.
a lot of people see that as like, oh wow, he can overcome so much. But for me, I'm seeing like, okay, this is a guy that's, able to take a big punishment, but he's not able to dish it back unless it's somebody that's, smaller. And for example of somebody that's like that, it's Jungle Boy, who's, smaller wrestler. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but
That match was awesome, man. That match was, and that's why like this topic kind of bums me. Dude, I don't like.
It's too late to fix it though. We
No,
talked
man,
about it during the show.
Yeah, dude, I don't like. For me, this was a great match. Like, let's Jungle Boy versus Darby was a great match, and it's
Yeah.
not like, let's be real, guys. Like, John Silver versus Darby was a really
There's
good
another
match.
one. We forget about that. That was another
It was a
match.
good
John Silver
match,
also worked
guys.
on Darby for 90% of that match.
Yeah, I agree. I just like I'm not. I think all three of us, we all agree. Darby's the way Darby wrestles is just kind of maybe it's hard for us to connect with. That's okay.
Right.
I think that the more interesting topic is, okay, we all agree Darby's championship run isn't clicking with us. Everybody who watches us knows that. All right, we like, and if you read Bonds' column, all elites, and even in the end, like a little struggle with Darby. With like, I know that you're struggling with his championship run too. I think everybody knows how we feel about that. To me, the more interesting question that's being proposed on AEW television right now is who's going to dethrone him. Because, Jungle Boy would have been a believable win, no doubt about it to me. And then you look at, to me, when you start looking at how Miro is talking in his promos, he clearly has his eyes set on gold. Lance Archer, you think that he's not chomping at the bit to get a shot at that? There's a lot of talent that you could see, and I think Darby hasn't had those kind of big matches yet. When he gets those shots against those kind of level competitors, guys, who do you see dethroning Darby? I think that's the fascinating question, because I think right now that's the title that would be could be really the exciting one on television. I mean, the women's championship, it feels inevitable that Britt wins. Right now, we all agree Kenny is not losing the belt anytime soon, so it's not as like super fast. And then the tag titles, right now the Bucks aren't really like. I mean, they're issuing like a challenge to the roster.
That could go anyway.
Could go anyway, right? The TNT Championship really feels like one of those, like, if they want to surprise us fans and boom, like give us a cool title change, that could be one that could really be fun. Who do you see dethroning Darby, guys? Who do you see being the next TNT champion?
I'll let you go first, SPD.
I mean, obviously those two are top names, but it would make most sense and really kind of give some credit to his presence here on the roster, Miro. And it would be so fun to have him be the fighting champion, just to tear through people,
destroy people.
Yeah. And so that would be a good placement that could start a show or end a show at any time. So
I agree.
For Miro to come in and destroy Darby and essentially put him out for a while, I think that would be smart booking, in my opinion.
Yeah, just to play devil's advocate on Lance, I would say that the stuff they're setting up with Sting, if you put the belt on Lance, and have him maybe feud with Sting a little bit, because they've had some weird back and forths, and obviously, if you could have a match, with Sting for that title and kind of have Lance go over on him, you legitimize him even more than having him beat Darby, in my opinion. So you have him go after a legend like that, and have, after he wins the title, maybe, hey, Sting's kind of defending Darby's honor in a way. Maybe he injures him or something with kayfabe, injures him, and you have, Sting kind of go, okay, I'm going to defend, I'm going to do the rematch because Darby can't do it or something. And you have maybe Lance do that, which would be an interesting storyline that's already been set up. But again, Miro would be great too. I would love to see Miro just kind of go in there and destroy people. You guys know I love that kind of style with him. And that'd be really fun to have the TNT belt kind of take a complete 180 on how it's presented.
Well, that's where, to me, like, dude, I know you were like, it's really weird hearing you guys say, like, SPD talk about, like, campaign for Miro and you campaign for Lance Archer.
Yeah,
it feels very weird for me. Am I in the Twilight Zone? Wait a second. I sit back here and in Bonds, after reading your column, it's like, I feel like you made such a great case for Miro.
Yeah.
To just dominate a dominant Miro. Like, he hasn't felt, I think you said it very well. They didn't really capitalize on Miro the way they could have when he first got here. And you've been really salivating, waiting for them to go all in with him and really allow him to be unleashed. And I think that would be a fascinating way to unleash him, to destroy, like, Darby's one thing, guys, we have to continue to, like, is that his character has been defined by an unbreakable spirit. And if Miro could be the guy who breaks him, like,
or his body breaks his body,
physically breaks him, right? Like, just because you put Darby through so much pain, like, we've always seen him go through hell and back, and for him to go through so much pain that he finally can't come back over somebody like Miro, that would be phenomenal booking to me. And I think it would make all this make more sense. Like, Darby's matches, he's getting beat up this whole time, but he always finds a way to win. You finally have a guy who stomps that out
that he can't overcome,
like a cigarette underneath his boot, right? Just stomp it out. I think that could be a really interesting way to, like, let Miro unleashed on the roster. We've been campaigning for Lance Archer to get a title. It almost feels like AEW believes that he's a character on their show that just doesn't need gold. And I'm starting to come to peace with that. Like, this feud with Sting and this whole, they're giving him a lot of opportunity. I just don't know if they see him as a guy who needs a belt. Like, kind of like Kane, had certain vibes like that for stretches of his career. He was relevant because he's Kane. I know Kane had lots of title reigns and things like that, but there are certain characters in the landscape of your company that are going to be inherently important, like Sting, Christian Cage. Christian doesn't need a championship, right? To be relevant.
Right.
There are certain guys who you just, because they are who they are, they're going to be a star. And maybe that's how I feel like AEW views Lance. I think that, like, Miro is the guy who does it personally. I don't know. I think it could go either way. I think that's what's exciting, is both guys are believable next champions and are powerhouses. And man, I would love to see them two go at it, man. Oh my God, what a match that would be. The battle, like, wow. But I think that, like, I think, to me, the thing I've been excited about is Darby has been fighting guys more like Jungle Boy, Scorpio Sky. There's been a trend that I've been noticing, and I think that AEW pays attention to that, and I think that that's been good for what I want to see out of this championship reign, as being selfish. And that would be all the more reason why to finally end his reign with somebody who is a powerhouse, like Brian Cage was. Go back to that David versus Goliath visual after a long run of guys. Now, I do see another name that we talked, Miro and Lance Archer. I just saw another name buzzing a lot. I think Ethan Page has got people talking. especially with what happened after that match, man. The beatdown that they gave to Jungle Boy and Darby after that, he and Scorpio attacking those guys. You know, when you look at Ethan, he's a guy who clearly feels very comfortable on the mic. He's got a way of kind of oozing machismo. It's very cool that he uses the ego's edge. He's kind of got that vibe of a young guy who's definitely confident and doesn't really pay attention to a glass ceiling. He doesn't want to hear anything about it. So I think that he could be an interesting wild card. I think that he definitely deserves a title shot soon. I think that he's coming for that belt. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out, man. I'm intrigued by the TNT title scene finally, and that's exciting to feel. Like as a fan, I'm geeking out about potential matchups. I wanted that. You know, I think that I was getting a little burned out by Darby.
It's been a slow burn, but it's at least kind of paying off at least.
Yep.
Anyways, all right. I mean,
you're right.
I'm all for a title change at Double or Nothing or sooner. It seems more of like Double or Nothing type of thing. Get a few more matches out of Darby out of this and milk it a little bit. But we're gonna end on one more topic. We'll talk, a fan topic. If you guys have anything you want us to bring up and discuss before we sign off to the sunset for the weekend, finally, cheers to everyone. Thank you for joining us. I got some things in mind, but would love to chat with one of the topics if you guys have one on that you want to discuss with us. Whether it be, the AEW women's division, other title scenes, any main event scenes, or, this upcoming, right now we have nothing with set up for Double or Nothing, which is a month away. Obviously all eyes are on Blood and Guts. Where do you see, like, what we can talk card predictions? That could be a topic if you guys want to talk, like, okay, let's book 5 matches that we see happening based on the landscape we see. I think that'd be a fun thing we could talk about. And you guys can chime in. And what are some matches that you would like to see? Miro and Darby makes a lot of sense. I can't think of one where I would put Lance. I don't see Lance going against Sting. I see Lance more of protecting Sting. Maybe it could be Lance and Sting versus. So Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky. What if you see that?
Oh, yeah. That'd be cool. I like that.
Do you see
that idea? That's a great idea, actually, SPD. That's a really good idea.
Let's just, I think that'd be a quick, off, not overthinking it. What do you think 5 matches for Double or Nothing would be? There's mine. You got Miro Darby, Lance and Sting team up together, which I see more happening versus Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky. That could be a fun one to watch. I also could see Hangman plus the Dark Order versus the Hardy Family Office, more of like a 5-on-5 battle as well, even though that feud's still kind of going. So I could see that. Main event, Kenny Omega. Does he face? I can't see him facing Mox. Does he face Kingston? Is it in a battle? Is it a 1-on-1? That is TBD. So those are my 3 matches so far. Obviously, Britt Baker versus Sheeta is going to happen, and Britt Baker is going to get the championship. Will happen at Double or Nothing. And let me think. I think we see a Double or Nothing, FTR versus Proud and Powerful.
I'm geeking out over that one, dude. I'm all for that.
What are some 5 matches? It doesn't have to be the main event. Like, what do you predict based on the landscape right now, or that you'd be eager to see develop up into Double or Nothing?
I think the most obvious one to me right now is Moxley and Kingston against the Bucks. I think that one makes a lot of sense and would be a lot.
You think they'll build that to Double or Nothing?
Yeah, I don't see why not. Yeah, I don't see why not. I think that would be an awesome matchup. I think that would be really cool to see 2 like megastar single guys come together. I love what I'm seeing with Moxley and Kingston, bro. I love their dynamic. Their energy together is just freaking great.
Right.
So I like where that could go. I really like your idea about Lance and Sting paired up together against All Ego and Scorpio. I really like that idea. That's a nice one.
Yeah.
am all about the DMD dethroning Sheeta. I'm all
It's gotta
about
happen.
that. I'm all about that.
Two title changes at Double or Nothing should happen and need to happen.
I think that if you're talking title changes, I think that, and I know, like I would say Darby losing the belt to Miro would be something that I would be about. I think that would be pretty
Right.
sweet. That said, like, the only one that doesn't jump out, I mean, I think that they're gonna have to pull the Band-Aid off, man. Hangman's gonna have to go against Kenny, and
Wow.
I mean, honestly, dude, he's the number one contender. Like, how long is he going to be the number one contender without getting a title shot? I think it's only a matter of time, and I think they're going to do it with double or nothing. I think that there's going to be potential for a good crowd there, and man, that match it's just so hard, SPD, because you have me convinced Kenny's not losing that belt for a long time, right? I mean,
I know.
it's
You'd be
so hard.
burying
How do you
Hangman,
put
dude.
Hangman? How do you put Hangman against Kenny and have him lose? I mean,
I know.
the only way you could do it is if he got robbed. Like, and then I don't think that. I don't know, man. That's a really
Do you have the
tough-
HFO interfere? Do something
or
stupid
the
like
elite
that?
or the elite. I mean, the elite could, and then maybe that's how you introduce some of the new Japan guys. Who knows, man? Like, there's a lot of ways this could go. The Bullet Club definitely will play a role in any Kenny match. You know that.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, and then I mean, like, to me, Double or Nothing, it feels like it's so far away right now.
I know.
I'm like Blood and Guts is right around the corner for me. That's what I'm like so geeked about. I can't look that far ahead, but I will say, DMD versus Sheeta is the one I'm just counting down days for, dude. I've been doing it for months now. You should see the calendar back there. It's just freaking X's. It's been way too long.
Where is it?
It's back there. It's back there.
Oh, it's back there?
Yeah,
By
you'll
Mitch?
see. I'll show you back by Mitch.
Bonds, what do you see? What are some matches that you'd like to see that also may not be so obvious right now?
So one that's kind of out of nowhere, and Penn brought it up, and I think this would be kind of cool. Rich Swann is wrestling against Kenny this Sunday, and I think a rematch could be really interesting.
Okay. So you protect Hangman a little bit?
Pardon?
You kind of protect Hangman a little bit?
Delay the
Really
title
let that
match.
go. Let that build itself.
I like
later
that
on.
idea.
And then you kind of make use of that partnership with Impact. Kind of have the top guy from Impact and the top guy from AEW go at it, and that'd just be a fun match. I think
I like that idea. That's a
would be
good
cool, and
idea.
it'd bring different eyes on the product as well. It'd bring.
But do you have Rich Swann lose both of those matches though, man? Like
that's tough. That's tough. You
or
can
maybe
always
he
have-
wins his Impact title back. I mean, I don't know. Maybe
Right. I don't know. That's tough. So it's again, it's just an idea, but it would be kind of fun and maybe bring in some more eyes, or even somebody else from Impact. It doesn't have to be Rich Swann, obviously, but that would make sense just in terms of like the top guy versus the top guy. It'd just be a kind of a fun match.
Yep.
Especially if we're just doing stuff that we'd like to see. I'd like to see that. Another one, obviously, Britt versus Sheeta is going to happen at some point, and that's just bound to happen. And I want to see that one just because it needs to. I think it's necessary. Britt's top talker in the one of the top talkers in the company, so you have to give her that belt at some point. It's necessary. For the tag titles, I mean, obviously, I think they're setting up Mox and Kingston. But
I agree.
A lot of the stuff they're already kind of deliberately setting up. That's kind of the tough part. Maybe something Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky at some point. They're a cool tag team and they're going after people now. So maybe you could have them challenge at some point. I don't know if that's a pay-per-view yet. Obviously, they're going after Darby right now, so that could be something that changes. But again, they're watching these matches and demanding, gold opportunities. Miro versus Darby would be cool, but again, I still think Lance versus Darby would be cool as well. Either way, you're having a changing of the guard. The only problem with if Britt and Miro both win the titles, then you have all of your champions are heels. So
That's a
you have to
great
kind of
point.
think about that as well. So if you're going to have these title changes and give both of them heels, you kind of have to. You might want to change that unless you're just going for that. I mean, you could do that as well, but that would be very niche for the company to have every single champion
That's a
be a heel.
great point.
So if you do that,
Interesting.
Got me thinking, bro. Good point. Good point.
Yeah.
so yeah, I don't know. I think that would be cool, but because that would just change the landscape of the whole company would be all heels as the champ. So you'd have to kind of maybe do something different with Darby, just for that regard. Especially if they're setting up, Britt. I think they're gonna once Britt gets the title, they're gonna push her to the moon. So that's gonna be everybody's gonna be heels. I don't know. That's just a couple matches I would be really interested in watching.
We talked about Chris Jericho better as heel or face earlier, and like it feels like Britt's kind of broken through that realm of like.
But she's still portrayed as a heel.
She's a heel, but come on, man. I mean, like, let's be real.
It's different, but again,
I get it.
We're fans of Britt. If there are people that aren't as big of fans of Britt, they would still look at her as a heel.
You're right.
We respect her as a performer, and we like how much she's improved and just been a really good, especially on social media, ambassador for the business as well. So there's a lot of stuff we like about Britt personally, but people that aren't as into it as we are still looking at her as a heel. Like her stuff against Thunder Rosa, where she was, basically calling her gutter trash, is brutal.
It was mean. There's
so
no denying that.
There's a lot of stuff there that she's kind of broken that barrier, but she's also still doing some stuff that's very much heel stuff. So
you're right.
I think that's just an us thing more than anything.
You're right. You're right, dude.
Looking at this graphic, obviously things change all the time, but like we left out Orange Cassidy, we left out Pac, Brian Cage, Cody Rhodes. Is he going to be back? Like, you could see Nightmare Family versus the Factory kind of, another match like that would be fun. But like Pac and Phoenix and Orange Cassidy, like, and Brian Cage, where do you put them? Christian Cage, like the roster is so deep, man. It's just, I guess.
Well, the writing's on the wall. I think writing's on the wall for Christian Cage and Team Taz, right? I feel like there's that's going to come to a head at some point. Bonds and I talked a little bit about maybe seeing Brian Cage and Christian Cage team up, like, and maybe as that team breaks apart, Team Taz breaks apart, that could be a potential opportunity. I definitely think Death Triangle versus Best Friends is going to be on the card at some point. I mean, I think that's going to happen. Like we talked about the trios titles, that is the bread and butter of a trios division right there. That's the thing, man. I think that Double or Nothing is going to be such a huge show. But I have to ask, with everything that's going to be on that card, SPD, you say it all the time, do you see more than one women's match on this show?
Yeah, I do.
Who do you see?
And what?
Yeah. Tell me, Pee-wee.
I don't know. I honestly don't know what you're. They're pushing Statlander. She's been on Dynamite again this week coming up, and so that would be what, like 3 out of the last 4 Dynamites essentially make an appearance. So they're
you know what
her.
I think? Yeah, I think that you're right on the money with Statlander. Yeah, I agree.
So Statlander versus whomever from
Jade.
wherever from
Jade.
I think that's
Statlander versus Jade would be so sick.
True.
Oh my god, that match would be just absolutely sick. I want to see that. I want to see that one. That would be so money. Powerhouses, dude. Yeah, I think that would be a lot of fun, man. Personally, and then you have DMD versus Sheeta. I think that's a really great. I think that's a really great combo. The DMD versus Sheeta. What about you, Bonds? If you could book Bonds, if you could book one, like, what do you think if you could book the women's matches? Do you think that there's going to be more than one? I think that's the question here. Do you think there's going to be more than one that makes the pay-per-view?
I'm not sure, but again, it would be Statlander and Jade. I said that a couple weeks back. I want to see that match. There's nothing else. Like, I mean, obviously they're not being set up against each other right now, but they're both getting pushes right now. And really, there's nobody going against Jade other than Red Velvet, who she's 2-0 against, and that's not going to be at a pay-per-view. They're not going to have another match.
I agree.
At a pay-per-view.
You're right.
So if they're both coming in hot Or even Ty Conti versus Jade at some point. Maybe you kind of push Jade up the ladder, putting her over on Ty, especially after she lost her.
Can you
her
have Ty
title.
have two big losses like that though? I don't.
Right, but I mean, she still has that win over Nyla Rose as well, and there's so I think that she's especially if she's not going to be in the title picture, you can always build her back up. You can always build her back up and have her come out, especially if they're going to have Britt take that title. And I think we have to assume if Britt wins the title, she's going to feud with Thunder again. I think that's probably what's going to happen. So I don't really see Ty in that title picture for a little while. If Britt wins the title, so if you do that and have maybe you build up Jade that way against a legitimate top.
Who do you see as Britt's first challenger after
Thunder.
after she? Yeah,
I think that makes
it be tough at first. I think you milk the Thunder one for a little longer, but I don't know who would be like a nice baby face.
I know.
For her to put down easily. Velvet's the only one that comes to mind. I mean, you don't want to have
easily
a just
in general
feud with Statlander.
I think that you could have Statlander lose to Jade and do so in a way that makes both of them look great. I think
I think so too. I think it would be a win-win for both competitors because
no one's gonna bat an eye with Statlander losing to Jade. I mean, Jade is gonna. I think we all agree Jade's gonna be Goldberg. She's going on the streak.
They've done a good job making her look good in the ring. So it's not like she's gonna be losing to somebody that's green that doesn't look good. Like Jade's looked great in her matches so far. So it's not like they're gonna be having her lose to somebody that's green that's not good.
Other than the champion Cheetah, who are all right, Thunder Rosa excluded, who are the top 3 babyface women right now?
Statlander, Red Velvet.
I mean, Thunder. She counts, but
Thunder excluded.
Thunder excluded.
Well,
Tay Conti,
Sheeta, I guess.
Oh yeah, Ty, yeah.
So
I think Ty, Statlander,
and Sheeta is a babyface, right?
I said other than Sheeta and Thunder.
Other than Sheeta and Thunder,
which you named 2, I said don't.
I just named the 2, so I would say Ty Conti, Chris Statlander is on the scene, and I agree with you, Bonds. I think Red Velvet, you got to put respect on her. I think that she's there.
Yeah, that's probably the top 3.
Respect.
All right.
Hey, there's some good stuff, man. So I guess we're gonna ride off into the sunset. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. I'm glad I was a little fashionably late. Cheers to the weekend. Living in a hotel, I got the fridge right behind me. So,
just say happy birthday.
Happy birthday, John.
Birthday.
Happy birthday, Britt.
So last night I was watching with my friend the most outrageous stunner reactions. So we were watching compilations of Stone Cold Stunners, like the one where he just stunned everyone, like 8 people in a row, like Jerry Briscoe, like it was so hilarious, just the reactions. And it was really, I'm going to watch some more tonight. I think Vince McMahon and The Rock sold the stunner like the best. I mean, Scott Hall sold it amazing as well. The guy got probably like 3 feet of air when he jumped off the stunner. So I recommend if you want some entertainment after this, look up the best Stone Cold Stunner reactions, man. It was some funny videos, some great stuff. But
I'm going to watch for my entertainment. I'm going to watch Mortal Kombat. I'm going to go watch that. Check that out, man. I'm geeked out about watching that.
I'm going to watch the inside of my eyelids.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us as usual. Friday Night Flights is back, baby. And thank you for everyone who joined us, and have a great weekend, everyone. And we'll see you on social.
Yeah. Tell them.
Yippee!